everybody. Hey, today I want to talk about parent feedback. I've been noticing a lot on the ESL groups that people are just like, how do I get parent feedback? I don't know. Like they won't leave feedback. There's nothing I can do. I don't know. Um, I'm not sure that I have all of the answers, but I've been doing this a little while now, and I average about 50 to 65% parent feedback every month. So I must be doing something that works. So I'm just going to share with you what I do. Take it for what you will. I'm actually going to share with you exactly what I write and what my process is. I sort of have my own version of Feedback Panda. So I'm going to show you what I do, and you are more than welcome to copy and paste or use it. You can send me an email. I can send you a link to it if you'd like. Just because it's working for me. So I have a couple pointers and a couple things that I've narrowed down over the last couple years that I think are helping me to get parent feedback. Like I said, I could be wrong, but take it for what you will and feel free to use what you would like to use, and hopefully this helps you. First things first, I ask for feedback. So what I do is I have my feedback already printed out. So the first time I see a student and the second time I have just cut and paste things. So they're a little bit longer. There's a little bit more information there than I would give to my regular students. And so I will just cut and paste that after I put some specific things that they can work on or improve on. Now, if it's a trial class, I don't actually include that. I just simply say it was great to meet your son or daughter. I put something individual that I connected with them on. So if I liked her shirt, if I saw something in the background, and you find something to connect with them on and then comment on it to send it home in the feedback, like, hey, we have a connection, so you're going to want to book with me again. Find something and then comment. Remember in your feedback to always use very, very simple language, because if you've been around this industry at all for a little while, you've of course gotten some feedback that is cray cray, and you know that things do not translate properly. So don't be all fancy with your words. Very simple English. You can even use Google Translate to translate it to Chinese and back to see if it translates properly. I ain't nobody got time for that in this household, so I don't do that. But I did do that with my initial ones that I do for the trial students. So that has already been transferred, translated back and forth. So I know that it translates properly. And so, anyway, that, like I said, use that if you would like to. For regular students, after I'm past this point of the cut and paste type, the first two, then I will put very specific feedback. I'm actually kind of serious about my feedback. I will give them specific things out of the lesson that they need to focus on. It's not real long, usually about a paragraph, and I always do it in between classes. So it's never long enough to not do it between classes and get it over with, because the last thing I want after teaching 8 to 10 hours a day is to have to sit there and do 2 hours of feedback. No, it's done in between classes every time. No ifs, ands, or buts, unless I have to run to the bathroom and I don't have time for one class. But there are never more than two classes ever in a stretch of classes that I don't have my feedback complete for or completed for. So, anyway, let me show you what I've
So
got
here's
here.
my notes. I have an iMac, so I use the notes function, which is this little guy right down here. And I have a couple notes on here, but I have a tab that says ESL feedback. And then I have my stuff for every company. You can see there's a basic one for Cambly. This even works for them. You always want feedback, because the higher your rating is, the more you will get booked, the more you will get priority calls at Cambly. So I just send this simple message that says, thank you for calling me on Cambly today. Would you please take a moment to leave a review? Evaluations help me to get more work, and you can book a reservation here. I leave the link. I hope to see you again soon. And I put, you always use your screen name, like your stage name, quote unquote, stage name for each company. So I put that there. Remember to always use your stage name, because they might not remember that it's Julie H.A. out of 500 Julies. They don't know, and if they don't know what to look you up under, they're not going to find you. So there's that. Now, my first appointment with, this is like a mess of stuff that I use for different things. For VIP Kid, I've got some extra stuff in here, like this you can find written somewhere in the training, and so I put that in there. It's in Chinese and English, and this is for a technical difficulty to let them know how to reschedule. But that you can add in your feedback too, but you can also put in the text box. Oh. My video is done recording. I just did that part before this part. Okay, so let's see, if it's my very first class, which is usually a new student or a trial student at VIP Kid or Gogokid. I have two separate ones, obviously, for the companies because you have to use separate ones for different companies. But so this is my VIP Kid version, and it just says that all of these things right here. I want to always encourage my students to speak in complete sentences and use proper grammar. I would like to continue working on his sentence structure. So I have one version for a boy, one version for a girl. You may read through this. Now, you can use emojis in VIP Kid feedback, so I do that just to make it stand out. Now, I know this is super duper long, but I only send it on the first appointment. I also add in my information about Weibo. I do not put WeChat information here because I don't want everyone having my WeChat information. That only goes to the students that I want to have that. But everyone can go on my Weibo and see I read stories to the kids. I have some pictures of my family and whatnot so that they can feel a sort of connection to me. If they know how to reach you outside of class. And again, this is only for VIP Kid. This is not allowed for Gogokid, and each company is different. So find out your company, your contract rules before you do this. So anyway, this is the simple format I use for this, and I make sure to always put my stage name down here and just let them know that I always appreciate positive feedback. Now, another pointer for them is always somewhere in here use the word humbled. And I am not sure if that's a fact, but I found every time I use that, for some reason, the Chinese people really like that you're humbled. I don't know. So I tend to use that in there somewhere. Now, for the second appointment, I use this version. It's essentially the same at the bottom. It just reiterates again, you can find me on Weibo and why I need five apples, why I appreciate it. But this one is just like, it's nice to see your son again. And on this one for myself, I include in here that from now on, I will always write what your child needs to work on in the communication box during class. That way, if I don't have time some days to write actual feedback in their feedback, which I usually do, but I always type things that they struggle with in the feedback box so that it's just covered. My parents know that. Okay? So, and all I have to do is take this line right here and punch in their name in that one. Okay, but I have to make sure I use the boy version or the girl version. Same thing essentially for Gogokid, only obviously my screen name is different for them, and they have stars rather than apples. So it's kind of the same exact thing. So for trial students or first-time students, I use this. I just have to be careful whether I'm using the boy version or the girl version. So here's the girl version. And then I have a couple extra things in my little notes. If you don't have notes, obviously you'll just use Post-its or you'll find some app that works for your computer. This is what I use again because I have iMac. This is also convenient because I have a couple things written in Chinese for the chat box just for trial student purposes. Oh, that's old. There probably are a bunch of old things. This is for them to write on the screen for trial classes for VIP Kid because they don't know that there, and it's always a pain in the butt. I was going to tell you one other thing, and I can't remember which one. Oh, so if I want a student, if they're like a stellar student, and I'm like, oh, I would love to teach them, or they're like super easy, or we just mesh, then at some point I will give them my Weibo information. So I just have this cut and paste ready there. Now all of you guys have my WeChat too. But there's Weibo, WeChat, and MyPi is like the version of Musical.ly in China. I have all of this stuff. So anyway, I have that. I also have a cut and paste thing for if I miss somebody at VIP Kid, like if it's a no-show, okay? So that's all it is. This is there's just notes here. It's all typed out. You can make it be whatever you want it to be, but it makes my feedback go so much quicker, and it's working. It gets me over 50% every single month. So whatever I'm doing, I guess it's working, and so I just thought I'd share it with you. Pretty simple.
Okay, so just to reiterate what I just showed you on my notes is I will always ask for feedback. Humbly, okay? You don't want to come across like pushy, but humbly. And I explain why. Simply. Simple English, okay? You don't want to get too wordy. That I know that that feedback is wordy, but I only do that like I said on the first two appointments. After that, it's always just a paragraph, but it's specific to the child. There's something they can work on. Anyway, first two appointments, it kind of sets the tone like, hey, I kind of hope that you'll give me feedback. Please give me feedback. And when they do leave feedback, at least a VIP kid, you can comment on that. That's fairly new recently. But I always comment back, say, hey, thanks for leaving me feedback. I appreciate it so much. So that way it's just kind of drilled in that I love that. Yeah, this keeps happening. Sorry, trying to finish this video today so I can edit it tomorrow and get it up. Um, so the other thing is somewhere in there use the word I'm humbled to receive or honored, humbled, honored. Both of them could work, but some kind of something about that seems to work. And again, ask for it and find a way to connect with the student if they're new to you. So it could be anything as simple as they're wearing a Minnie Mouse shirt and you have a Minnie Mouse, or you have like a anything to connect with them on. We've all got props. Find something, some way to connect with them, something to laugh about, and then add that in your feedback, okay? Just to kind of send it home. And then last but not least, if you're looking for more bookings, this isn't on the topic of I mean, we're talking about feedback, but within the feedback, leave a comment that says, I would really be honored to teach your child. I would love to teach your child if they don't already have a regular teacher. So usually people rebook with me after I say that. So with that being said, don't do that if it's a kid that you don't connect with, that you don't think you're going to be the best fit for, unless you're just brand new and you're desperate for bookings. But in my case, if I don't like a kid, I know that sounds terrible, but if it's a kid that I think is going to stress me out a bit too much, I do not put that information in there. I simply put something they can improve on, put my name, and I might accidentally even leave out my stage name ending, like the letters at the end. Um, because if I don't want to teach them, I don't want to deal with it. And at this point in my career, I can be picky about that, and I'm not going to teach kids that are just like I have to work way too hard for my money. No, thank you. And for myself personally, I enjoy like 5th grade, 6th grade. So I love the 11, 12-year olds that are level 4, level 5, and so I connect with them a lot better, but everyone's different. So you do you. But anyway, there's what I do. Pretty short and sweet. Hopefully it helps you. Leave a comment if you have any pointers on what you do to help out other people. Especially if they're new, because we just don't know what to do when we're new. Y'all remember being new, so help them out. And also, if you could like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.